Tesla recently made a very big decision for the future of their company when they quietly announced that they are finally going to begin opening up the global network of supercharger stations to electric cars made by all manufacturers. This ends nearly a decade of exclusivity on the largest network of EV chargers in the world. Is that a genius move on Tesla's part or a terrible mistake? Well, there are points to be made in both directions, and there is a lot to consider with this situation, so let's talk about it. So we know that Tesla and Elon have always had the intention of opening up the supercharger network at some point. It was never meant to be a Tesla exclusive forever. However, the company didn't start talking seriously about this decision until very recently. In discussions with the government of Norway, Tesla ran into a bit of trouble applying for government incentives to build charging stations in that country, as the Norwegian government only pays out those incentives to EV chargers that are available to all electric cars, regardless of who built them. In order to clear this particular hurdle, Tesla promised that they would make their superchargers available to all brands by September of 2022. Following that, Elon just casually mentioned in a reply tweet that Tesla would be opening up the supercharger network as early as, quote, later this year. And that was further solidified by comments that were made during Tesla's Q2 earnings call on Monday, July 26th. While speaking with investors, Elon said that the process for owners of other EV brands to use superchargers will be real simple. Anyone who wants to use a supercharger will just need to have the Tesla app set up on their phone so they can activate the station that they are using and get billed properly for the electricity they draw. At least that will be the case in Europe and China, where Tesla uses a standardized CCS charging port. It's a big, clunky bastard of a connector, but every other electric car uses it, so it is what it is. While over here in North America, there's a different story. We're all used to Tesla's proprietary connector, the sleek narrow plug. That's not a deal breaker, it just means that Tesla will need to provide an adapter. Elon is open to just making them available at supercharging stations, unless people steal them or something, but I don't know why you would bother if it's free to use. The only other complication would be some new software that would be necessary to facilitate the handshake between car and charger. Basically, the charger needs to know what car it's attached to and how much power it can handle. For example, you can't just pump the full 250 kilowatts into a Chevy Bolt. It would probably burst into flames or something. They're very good at that. It should be said that Tesla never had the intention of making a proprietary charging connector. They just happened to be the first company in the world to build a long-range, fast-charging electric car. So they had to make everything from scratch in their own way. And by the time the other manufacturers arrived at the party, the CCS port had also been developed, and they all chose to go that route. Hey, by the way, did you know that we're doing an awesome prize giveaway here on the Tesla Space where you can win a very rare and cool-looking Tesla tequila bottle? You have to subscribe to our newsletter to enter, details at the end of the video. The first and most obvious problem that comes to mind with opening superchargers up to the world is congestion. This doesn't really happen where I live, but I have seen some pretty gnarly lineups happening at stations in major cities. Waiting for the car to charge is fine, but I wouldn't want to add waiting in line on top of that. It looks like a pain in the ass. So will opening things up make congestion worse? I don't think it will, actually. So non-Tesla cars will have the option to use a supercharger, but they still have all the other options available that they're using right now. So if they see a lineup at a Tesla station, they'd obviously just go somewhere else that's less crowded. Unless they're an idiot or a jackass, in which case Elon has a plan to hit them in their bank account. Essentially, Tesla would implement surge pricing at the superchargers for all other brands. If you want to charge your Porsche at a busy supercharger, then you gotta pay extra. The longer the line, the more you pay. That should go a long way to fixing the problem. Let's say you don't have a Porsche. Let's say you drive a Chevy Bolt. Not only is your car a tinderbox on wheels, but it's also spectacularly slow to charge by modern standards. I think they top out at like 55 kilowatts. Elon wants to make you pay for that as well. He says that slow charging vehicles will have to pay more because the biggest constraint at the supercharger is time. Obviously, the best way to eliminate the congestion problem is to build more superchargers. In the early days, Tesla actually put the cart ahead of the horse, building superchargers in 2012 at a higher rate than they were selling cars. At some point in between, the horse got too far ahead of the cart, and now Tesla vehicle sales are doubling year over year, but the supply of charging stations is not. On the recent earnings call, Elon said that opening the network is only useful to the public if we are able to build superchargers faster than the Tesla vehicle output. So this is a lot of work for the Supercharger team. A member of Tesla's Supercharger team, Drew Baglino, added that increasing the utilization of the network actually reduces our costs, which allows us to lower charging prices for all customers, make the network more profitable, allow us to grow the network faster. That's a good thing there. We know that Tesla has big plans for the Supercharger network coming down the pipe. There's the upgrade to 300 kilowatts or V4 that will enable even faster charging speeds with the new Model S and Model X. Plus, Tesla is still working on their plan to make all superchargers run on sustainable energy. At one point earlier in the year, someone from Tesla claimed that all stations would be converted to renewables this year. I think that was said on Earth Day. Obviously, that's insane, but there is progress being made. Tesla China has started integrating solar panels and power walls into some of their new supercharger stations, and that's something that we will start seeing over here more and more. Of course, superchargers aren't exactly cheap to make, so more money will inevitably lead to more chargers, and this new scheme to open up the network will undoubtedly make more money for Tesla. Investment firm Goldman Sachs just took a crack at the numbers themselves and came up with some crazy figures. Their estimate puts the revenue potential from Tesla superchargers up to $25 billion per year in the long term. That number of $25 billion would rely on Tesla expanding to 500,000 charging stalls, which is going to take time. Currently, they are at around 25,000, and the bankers estimate that this would still be good for something around an extra $1 billion every year. For comparison, in the year 2020, Tesla generated $30 billion in total revenue. I don't know how Goldman Sachs are getting their numbers. I'm not exactly confident with their math, and I take those numbers with a big grain of salt. But it is nice to see them joining the Tesla optimism train for once. We have no idea what kind of dynamic pricing multiplier Tesla is going to use or how often that surge would actually come into effect. I know you guys down in California already have problems with congestion, but in most other places, it's really not an issue for us, at least yet. Another factor that Tesla stands to gain from this move is a little less material, but still very good, and that's some marketing. Tesla doesn't spend money on TV commercials and things like that, but there are other ways to advertise. Owners of other brands will have to download the Tesla app to use the supercharger. So every time they look at the applications on their phone, there's a Tesla logo staring back at them. Maybe every time they open the app, there will be notifications telling them about all of the cool features they could have if they only bought a Tesla. Then they go to the supercharger and Tesla is written on everything in red and white. They're surrounded by Tesla cars. Maybe that Chevy Bolt driver will be patiently waiting for their car to slowly charge up while a Model Y pulls in, charges up, and then leaves without even catching on fire. This whole thing will absolutely get some EV owners who didn't choose Tesla to start reconsidering that decision. I think the biggest downside is going to be more psychological on the part of Tesla owners. The superchargers will lose their exclusivity. It's no longer a Tesla owners club, which really shouldn't matter, but it's going to be a thing that a lot of people will have to get over. Remember, it was never supposed to be this way in the first place. Elon reiterated on the call, our goal is to support the advent of sustainable energy. It is not to create a walled garden and use that to bludgeon our competitors, which is sometimes used by other companies. He then fake coughed the word Apple, which is pretty funny. Now, this is absolutely the direction that we need to be moving. Think for a second how chaotic the world would be if gas stations were brand specific. Only GM vehicles at one station and only Ford at another. That would be terrible, and we can't let that happen with electric cars. Even if it's just Tesla versus everyone else, that could never scale up very well in the long run. But what do you guys think? Good decision from Tesla or more trouble than it's worth? Leave your comments down below. And don't forget about the Tesla Tequila Prize giveaway. We are making you work for this, but it's not so bad. Step 1, subscribe to the Tesla Space newsletter if you are not already. Step 2, open your newsletter every Tuesday morning and find your unique referral link at the bottom of the email. Step 3, spam that link out to the people who you think will love Tesla and SpaceX news as much as you do. The more successful referrals you get, the more entries into the prize draw. For those wondering, the Tesla Space newsletter delivers all the updates on Tesla, SpaceX, Elon Musk, and Neuralink in a quick, fun, and easy-to-read package. Link to sign up is in the description below. It's theteslaspace.com. And once you sign up, be sure to check your promotions tab to make sure our emails are going to your main inbox. If you want to continue to learn about everything regarding Tesla, SpaceX, and Elon Musk, we've got 2 more video options for you on the screen to check out. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up today if you liked it, and subscribe to our channel for weekly content just like this.